MG Motor India is on a roll. In just 2 years, they've launched 4 SUVs and this is their 5th. This is the most advanced MG product yet and we're here to find out what it's all about. Hello and welcome to DriveSpark. I'm Stephen Neal and this is the AI affair. Say hello to the MG Astor. It comes with a lot of technology and most importantly gets level 2 autonomous features. What's it all about? Let's go find out. And you join us while we're behind the wheel of the MG Astor. We're on the Buddha International Circuit and what a place this is to drive a car. Well, yes, this is an SUV and it doesn't really belong on tracks like these, but we are here to test a few of the features. The MG Astor comes with several ADAS features, advanced driver assistance systems. So what they do is basically they help the driver in situations where the driver wouldn't normally be able to react. These are systems that enable more safety in the car. This is autonomous level 2 and the MG Astor comes with 14 of these ADAS features. So you've got forward collision warning, you've got brake assist, you've got emergency braking, it brakes the car automatically, you've got the lane departure warning, lane departure prevention, also you've got lane keep assist. So even if you're on the highway, probably you snooze off or you're distracted and the car veers off the lane, the car is capable of keeping itself within the lane. It steers itself too if necessary while it's in that mode. So these are some really cool features that really help in terms of safety. This vehicle also gets adaptive cruise control as part of the ADAS systems. As a result, you can set a speed and the vehicle will stick to that speed. If there is another vehicle in front that is a bit slow, it slows down to match that vehicle's speed, and if that vehicle moves off the way, it still picks up the speed and gets to the speed that you have set. And that is a great feature, especially when you're cruising on Indian highways. You don't really have to go on the brakes, on the throttle. You can let go of all the controls and just steer the vehicle and it will do what you want it to. It will do the speed that you want. So that's a great feature as well. Also, you've got the speed warnings. So when you are driving, say on a highway or on a road where the speed limit is 60 kilometers per hour, you can set the speed to 60 and it will stick to 60, or you can leave it in the intelligent mode where the camera reads road signs. It actually picks up the speed limit from the signs on the road and it actually gets that speed into the system and the car keeps at that speed. Now that is a really cool feature. Of course, these are all features that have come into this segment for the first time and that makes it quite a novelty. In fact, really great features, really great attempt from MG. MG has always been very innovative when it comes to the features and the Astor shows just why. Now let's talk about the driving experience. Before we get to how it feels, let's talk about the specifications. This model that we're driving, it is powered by the 1.3 liter turbo-petrol engine. It has a maximum power output of 138 bhp and a peak torque output of 220 Nm. It is part of the Brit Dynamics package and transmission duties are handled by a 6-speed automatic gearbox. It's a torque converter. Now, how does it feel out on the track? Well, the engine has just enough power to keep the vehicle going. It's not very powerful. It doesn't feel like it can tear things apart. It can just blow away and get to really fast speeds really quick, but it's just enough to keep you going at normal highway speeds. Out here on the track, of course, you'll feel it is slow because the track is really wide, but on the highway, well, we don't see any problem with this car. We don't see any issues of you driving at high speeds. Now, coming to the gearbox, this is kind of a letdown for this car because the engine feels very responsive, especially from 2,500 RPM onwards. That's probably where the turbo kicks in. So it feels very responsive, but the gearbox is a little lethargic. Now, when it's in drive mode, it's normal for torque converters and all other gearboxes to feel lethargic, but when it is in sports mode, that is where the gearbox should feel more sporty, more aggressive, quicker shifts. And even in sports mode, this gearbox unfortunately does not shift as fast as we'd want it to. In fact, in sports mode is where we would want a car to hold on to a gear because we want to push it in that gear. But what we found in this car is when it hits a certain RPM, when you're holding on in second gear and you hit say 6,000 RPM, it goes and shifts into third gear on its own, and that is something that we as enthusiasts do not really prefer, do not really enjoy. If we wanted to hold on to a gear, we wanted to hold on to a gear, and it's as simple as that, and that this box does not. And even when you ask it to downshift, it really thinks twice or thrice before downshifting. So that is kind of a letdown when it comes to the driving experience. Now, talking about the steering, well, this is a huge plus point with the MG Astor. The MG Astor comes with electronic power steering, and it gets 3 steering modes. You get dynamic, you get urban, and you get normal. Urban makes the steering feel really light. This is great for situations where there's a lot of traffic, and you're in your urban space in the city area, and that's where this mode really comes into its own. It's very light, it keeps the steering movement easy. Then you've got the normal mode. I think the normal mode is suited more towards the highway driving style. It feels a little tighter, but it's not as tight as we'd want it to be in corners like these, which is why there's the dynamic mode. In dynamic mode, the steering feels really responsive, the steering weighs up nicely, and you feel every bit of the corner. You get the feedback that you wanted to, especially in corners like these. Where at C3, C4 of the Buddh International Circuit, and here I can feel everything that the wheel is doing, and that's exactly what I want. Especially if you're taking the car to a hilly region, you're driving in the Ghats, you're pushing it on some curves, this is the mode to be in. So that pretty much sums up the entire driving experience of the MG Astor. Now, how does it look? Let's go take a look at the design. Much has been said about the AI assistance and the ADAS features of the MG Astor. But now let's talk about the design in brief, and let me tell you just why. The MG Astor is based on the ZS platform. We already have the ZS EV in India, and we are very familiar with its design. The overall silhouette of the SUV and the design features remain very identical to the MG ZS EV. There are a few changes though, and let me highlight them for you. Firstly, let's talk about the headlamp. The headlamp design is new. It's called Hawkeye, and it's got 9 diamond crystals inside it. It's a fully LED headlamp setup. So you've got the LED DRLs, the LED projector, etc. It's got a blacked out setting, so it looks really nice. And of course, you can't miss the grille. It's huge. It's called the Constellation grille. It's got lots of chrome elements in a blacked out setting, so that is another change. And you've got the MG badge, which is pretty large in size, and you've also got the camera in the MG badge. It's underneath the MG badge. I'll tell you why that camera is useful. It works in tandem with the radar unit located in the bumper. So you've got the radar system, the radar sensor in the bumper, and the camera. Together they give you the ADAS features that we were talking about earlier. So that is the front end of the MG Astor. Moving over to the side, you've got the 17-inch alloy wheels that grab your attention immediately. They are dual tone wheels, and the design is said to be inspired by a turbine, and it looks really nice, especially on this shade, the white car that we have. You have 4 other colors to choose from on the MG Astor. Now on the side also, you've got the Brit Dynamic badging that we have on this model. There are a few changes that come with the Brit Dynamic badging. So you've got blacked out ORVMs, you've got the blacked out elements in the headlamp, the grille, etc. And the engine will always be a turbo-petrol unit because it's the Brit Dynamic package. And of course, you've got the roof rails that looks great as well. So that pretty much sums up the side profile of the MG Astor. Moving over to the rear, you've got the tail lamps that have seen a bit of change. The LED tail lamps are new. They feature some redesigned bits inside them, and that pretty much sums up the design changes to the MG Astor. Everything else remains identical to the MG ZS EV. And we're inside the MG Astor, and the first thing you'll notice is this AI bot. This is your AI assistant, and this is what reacts to you when you say the words hello Astor, hello MG, and it replies to you. You can ask it questions, you can ask it to tell you a joke, you can ask it to give you directions, you can ask it to do multiple things, and it will do its best to help you out. It's more of an assistant to you rather than a function, and that is something that is really nice. The head turns to respond to you. It's got human-like expressions, and that kind of makes it more friendly to use. You find yourself playing around with this AI assistant a lot while you're driving. Now moving on from the AI assistant's features, let's talk about the AC vents. The AC vents look really premium. The side AC vents get turbine style design, and it also gets the surrounds finished in aluminium. You also got a brushed aluminium piece on the dashboard here, and the center AC vents are also designed well, and that brings you to the infotainment screen. The infotainment screen is a 10.1-inch touchscreen It gets a lot of features. You can control a lot of settings through the screen, including the electronic power steering. You get 3 modes for this. All of that can be controlled from the screen. Here you can also control the air conditioning, the climate control, and the entire ADAS features can be controlled from the same screen. This infotainment system also comes with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and it also gets 80 plus connected features. The internet service is provided by Jio, and the music service is provided by Saavn. Now you also get navigation in this inbuilt. You get 4D navigation, and that is provided by MapMyIndia. You also get a Coin Earth provided system. It's called Digital Passport or the Vehicle Passport, where you can store your vehicle's documents, and also it monitors your driving behavior, and that helps you to get lower insurance quotes. You can select the insurance quote that you want from your vehicle, and you can get a lower price. Again, that depends on your driving behavior. So that is a big feature that is very useful in the real world. Yet another feature that is very useful in the real world is the park feature. So you can find parking spaces in select cities and also book them from the comfort of your vehicle. You can even pay from the MG Astor even before you reach the parking slot. How cool is that? You can just reach there and park directly without having any hassles. So that is a lot of features packed into this 10.1 inch touchscreen system. Now let's talk about the other controls. You get a few HVAC controls over here. Under the AC controls, you've got the gear lever for the 6-speed gearbox, and also you've got the electronic parking brake button here. You've also got 2 cup holders in here in the center console. We have placed the walkie-talkie in here because we are at the BIC, so it's a lot of coordination here. And you've also got this little cubby hole here. We have stored a few water bottles in there, and that pretty much sums up the center console. Now let's talk about the steering. The steering is nice and chunky. It's a flat bottom steering wheel. It feels nice to hold. You've got lots of controls in and around the steering wheels. You've got controls for the music system and the voice commands on the steering wheel. Behind the steering wheel, you've got 3 different levers, one for the wiper function, demisting function. You've also got a lever for the ADAS features. You can set it from here if you're not comfortable using the screen to set it, and also you've got another one for the lighting. So that pretty much sums up the steering wheel layout and all the controls associated with it. Now let's talk about the instrumentation. You've got a completely digital instrument cluster. To the left and right, you've got the speedometer, the tachometer, and also you've got the fuel gauge and the temperature gauge. In the center, you've got a 7-inch TFT screen that displays a lot of information, starting right from when the doors are open. It gives you the warning. You've also got all the warnings associated with the ADAS systems. You've also got the time, the range, etc. It's a long list, and it would be a really long video if we were to explain each and every setting on the instrument cluster. Well, that pretty much sums up the interior on this part of the car. Now let's talk about the sunroof. This is a huge talking point in today's cars, and the MG Astor boasts of the largest sunroof in its segment. It's a panoramic sunroof. MG says it covers 90% of the car's roof, and that is a lot of space, and as a result you get a lot of ventilation, a lot of light coming into the car, and as a result it makes the interior experience in the MG Astor so much better, as the cabin feels a lot more roomier. Let's go check out the rear now. And we're in the rear seat of the MG Astor. The driver's seat is set to my driving height, to my driving requirements, and yet I have so much space in the back, and that is a great thing. So you can stretch your leg if you want. You've got lots of knee room, lots of headroom, and of course the panoramic sunroof simply means that you've got lots of space in here. It feels more airy and roomier than it actually is. Now let's talk about the upholstery. The seats feel really nice and comfortable. It's made of good material. The same sangria red interior theme is carried over to the rear too. So you've got the dual tone seats as we saw up front too. The seats are very comfortable. A little more under thigh support could have helped, but it's not something to complain about really. You've got the rear AC vents along with 2 mobile phone charging sockets at the rear, and that is a great feature too. It will keep the occupants in the rear very comfortable. The center occupant though will have difficulty in placing the legs because of the transmission tunnel, but otherwise nothing to complain about in here. Let's check out this. You've got the foldable armrest, very comfortable, feels well built, and you've got the cup holders in here. This cap for the cup holder is a very good feature. It doesn't allow dust to accumulate in it when you're not using it, so it feels really nice. Very premium interior. The interior is very likable. Whether you like it or not, advanced technologies including AI are a part of our everyday lives in an unavoidable manner, even when it comes to cars. Until now, these technologies were available only in a few flagship cars that were super expensive and launched by only a few brands. However, with the Astor, MG has made these advanced technologies, including autonomous and AI tech, available to the common man at a much more affordable price. Prices are not known at the moment, yet we know that it will not be as expensive as those cars that we were just talking about, and kudos to MG for that. The Astor is a well-rounded car. What do you think of the Astor? Do let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed to our channels yet, do subscribe. And well, this is Stephen Neal signing off for DriveSpark. Come this side, please. And you also get a few other services that make it niche in this segment. You get the music from Savan.